Simon, I mentioned there, this, is it dangerous, this mindset, the biggest danger for West Ham, thinking that, we're too good to go down. I tell you why they're not.
Well, they are.
2 wins in their last 13 league games, stretching back to October. They shouldn't think they're too good to go down. Not for one moment.
Well, the inherent troubles for West Ham is the argument they've always been to avail themselves of is that David Sullivan now, and previously David Sullivan and David Gold didn't give them enough resources to be able to match the talent of managing the dugout, and specifically in this instance David Moyes. Now that argument can't be advanced now because they've spent 150, 160 million last summer. I do think there's an element of the expectation of West Ham is probably slightly unrealistic because of the remarkable achievements over the last couple of years. Notwithstanding that, they should be nowhere near the bottom three, and they've got a manager that's very calm and I think very pointed and very acerbic in his observations yesterday after the game, and it'd be interesting to see what he's digging at there. And I thought some of the players on that pitch, specifically Declan Rice yesterday, weren't at it and on it and good enough in that game. But I do think that West Ham will get themselves out of it. But either which way, finishing fourth or fifth and bottom of the league, which is where West Ham might end up finishing and not finishing the bottom three, is by no way a reflection of where the quality of manager and that team should be. I mean, we've had this argument, haven't we, about some of the bigger players that have carried them previously not doing their jobs. But you can't have it now because Bowen's up and at it again.
Yeah.
Tuchek's better.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at it and going, it is what it is. This is a poor side at the moment.
Well, I mean, I was looking at it through there, Martin, before we came on air. The 5 league wins all season: Bournemouth, Everton, Villa, Fulham and Wolves. None of the big boys. So when they meet some of the big boys, they wilt. They can't do it. And I think now there's genuine concern for West Ham fans. They're looking at Championship football.
Well, I think with the number of games left, and that's not that many, then obviously if you're in that position, then it's going to be there is a difficulty. They can't win the games, as you say, and when you can't win, and when you they've had a little decent run before that there, but you're talking about quite a substantial number of matches. When they haven't been able to do that over the whole season, then it does become a problem. And you think to yourself, well, listen, we'll win 2 consecutive games and we'll pull ourselves clear. Sometimes that doesn't work like that. When you find yourself in this position and you realise that you are down there, then there is definitely a mindset that you feel as if you talked about sitting there on the defensive. Well, sometimes you go into a game, if you're in that position, you feel as if, well, getting a point from the game today, it's not necessarily you set out in that fashion, but if you try and cast your mind over the 90 odd minutes and you think if we can come out with a point here today, particularly at Tottenham, then you think, okay, we're fine, we're still on that little run.
Yeah.
But it does become difficult.
But you lose.
No question.
I mean, Martin, there's a fellow countryman of yours, Frankie, over in Belfast. Good morning to you, Frankie. Sad to say, guys, Moyes needs to go. He should have gone before, but the board didn't have the guts to do it. I'm afraid he's running out of ideas. There is something wrong. Do you think there's something wrong, Martin?
I don't.
Do a couple of wins change it?
But a couple of wins change it, absolutely. No question about it. I mean, there's a rush to judgment all the time about managers. They've had, as Simon mentioned, a couple of really decent seasons. Really, they're playing in European football at this minute as well. So they've had some decent seasons. I think there is a big expectation now about West Ham. I wonder where that always... I don't know where that was always placed, really, because West Ham, the old school, academy school, that type of thing, great players, obviously, and the 3 lads who won the World Cup way back.
Yeah.
Terrific players, Trevor Brooking in his time as well, too. But West Ham always seemed to falter just at a stage when you thought that they were going to come through. So maybe expectation is very, very high. And I think when you do set a standard of what you think, then maintaining that there, the minute that you drop behind that, then there's obviously a massive rush to judgment.
Simon mentioned singled out Declan Rice. You make no apologies for it, I'm sure, Simon. No. Roger from Mansfield. Simon's right. In my view, Declan is one of the most overrated players in the business right now. I mean, Martin, is that unfair? I mean, it doesn't all fall at Declan Rice's doorstep, does it?
Not at all.
It's a collective responsibility.
Well, of course it is. Declan Rice has done magnificently in the last couple of seasons. So again, anything below that sort of standard feels as if Did you say something, Simon, that you felt as if he was disinterested in the game?
He just wasn't the Declan Rice that I've been used to seeing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I was surprised at it, because you need in games like that, you need your leaders to stand up, and he is their leader, isn't he, to some extent?
Yes, he is. I wouldn't disagree with that.
Okay.
But I would never accuse Declan Rice of being disinterested.
Okay.
I said he wasn't at it. Now, that might mean his performance level wasn't at it. But if you also pick out the bones of the last 3 games, in fairness to West Ham, Newcastle, Chelsea and Tottenham are not easy games, albeit that Chelsea are all over the place. The next game at home to Nottingham Forest is the game they have to start focusing on winning.
Absolutely.
Because if they lose that game, they've then got Man City coming down the line and other teams around the top 6 that are going to give them trouble.
Don't want to start the show, but inevitably we have to. If we're talking about West Ham, there is a hint of pessimism about it, and we make no apology for that. Could not truly believing the idea that Championship football is a possibility be the biggest danger for West Ham this season. I wonder what West Ham fans are thinking at this time. You have problems of that, there is no doubt. So did Chelsea. We'll get to them shortly. But regards West Ham, what is the way out? Can you be confident you'll avoid the drop? Ray is a big West Ham fan. Ray, good morning. What would you like to say? Martin's with me. Simon's with me.
Well, good morning, fellas. Yeah, not happy, Emma, this morning. Yesterday was one of the biggest, against Spurs, our worst performance in a London derby I've seen for years. He had 8 defensive players in that starting lineup yesterday, and he kicks the ball long. He doesn't play the ball at the back. He's got 3 central defenders, 2 wing-backs that can't go past players, and he's kicking the ball long, hoping Souček might flick it on to a team with another 5 players behind the ball. It was clueless. It was effortless. The players look like rabbits in the spotlight. He doesn't look like he knows what his best formation is. Last season we had 4 at the back, 2, 3 attacking players behind another attacker. He's lost it all. He's lost the will to win. If he thinks 14 draws, 0-0 draws, he's going to keep us up by playing a defensive formation. It's just not going to happen.
Ray, you're saying he's lost the will to win?
Well, I just think he doesn't know. We've lost the backing of Stuart Pearce in the club, who was a big influence in the dressing room. Mark Noble steps up. He's got no one to replace them, and the players don't seem to like the formation either.
Ray, hang on. Martin O'Neill's with me, and he's taking notes as you speak here. I mean, they will not, I'm sure, Martin, have lost the will to win.
Oh, absolutely.
Any chance at all, you're going to take the opportunity to try and win. But it's how you get the win.
Yeah, and when you don't win for a while, then winning football matches becomes more difficult, obviously. But I don't think that if you are concerned about them going down, I'll try and make a prophecy now. I don't think West Ham will go down for a start. Is that the sort of season that you want to be talking about? Obviously not. But it's been the last couple of years have been really terrific.
But what has changed from last season is this relentless, the last few games of going into with a back 3. If you play a back 3 with wing back, look at their goal yesterday, Tottenham's first goal. Their wing backs combined to score the goal. Our wing backs cannot cross. They can't supply. They don't go past people. They don't get to the byline. They're putting crunching tackles in. Sue fell yesterday, putting crunching tackles in on Ben Davies. They're defensive tackles. They're not attacking challenges. They're defending.
Ray, do you fear the worst, mate? Do you fear the worst? Do you fear that this is the season they'll drop?
Well, I don't think we'll drop it. Why has he changed that policy to play 7 or 8 defenders in the team instead of 6 defensive players and 4 attacking players?